Çin, Doğu Türkistan'da 2016'dan itibaren yok etme politikasını devreye soktu. Bu politikanın özetle iki ayağı var. Uygur toplumunu sosyal ve ekonomik alanda geri bırakacak uygulamalar ve cami gibi simgesel alanları yıkmak. Okul olarak lanse edilen toplama kamplarında Müslüman Uygur Türklerinin kimliklerini silmek. Çin, bu kampları geri kalmış Uygurları eğitiyoruz diye savunsa da ortaya çıkan veriler 2 milyondan fazla Müslümanın buralarda esir muamelesi gördüğünü ortaya koyuyor. Kimliği inkara zorlama, zorla Çin kültürünü kabul ettirme, kadınların kısırlaştırılması, işkence, gözaltı ve hapis, zorla çalıştırılma, deneylerde kobay olarak kullanma. Bunlar kayıtlara geçmiş insan hakları ihlallerinden sadece birkaçı. Varlığı uydu görüntüleriyle kanıtlanana kadar Çin yönetiminin yok saydığı bu kamplarda Uygur Türklerine yapılan uygulamalar tam olarak bilinmiyor. Aktivist, gazeteci ve akademisyen Olsi Jazexhi bir grup meslektaşıyla bu kamplardan birini gezdi. Çin'in izin verdiği sınırları zorlayarak edindiği izlenimlerini tüm platformlarda paylaşıyor. Anlattıkları, resmin görülmesine izin verilen kısmı olsa da Pekin'in inkar ettiği her şeyi doğruluyor. Hello from Karar TV to everyone. Today we do an interview with Olsi Jazexhi about the Chinese persecution in East Turkestan. When did you interest in East Turkestan as a journalist, academician and activist begin? Why Uyghur Turks?
Thank you for interviewing me. My interest on the Uyghurs is very old. Since I am an historian and I studied the history of Muslim and Turkish people of Central Asia. So, I mean, I have my PhD specialization deals with the history of the Ottoman Empire and the movement of the Turkish people in the world. However, when it comes to the Uyghurs, I have developed a particular interest in the last years because of the news that we hear in the media about their persecution by the Chinese authorities.
How was your visit to East Turkestan? Did China invite you?
Yes, I wanted to understand what is going on in East Turkestan or Xinjiang, how the Chinese describe this region. And for this reason, in July 2019, I contacted the Chinese embassy in Tirana. I showed to them my interest about what is going on in Xinjiang, and I asked them if they had any program for journalists who wanted to learn the truth about what is going on in Xinjiang. So our Chinese friends at the Chinese embassy in Tirana, Albania, they showed me that the information office of the People's Republic of China in the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region, they were organizing a seminar for the countries along the Silk Road economic belt. And they told me if I were interested to join their seminar. I told to them, yes, I am. And they invited me. We were a group of around 20 foreign journalists. The journalists came from Turkey, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, etc. We went to Xinjiang or Urumqi, the capital, on August 15 to 16, and we stayed there around 1 week.
How was the attitude of the Chinese authorities to you?
Well, the attitude of the Chinese authorities at first was very good. We were a group of journalists, and this was the 8th group of foreign journalists that were visiting Xinjiang. in the program that we were invited in, we were presented, this is the handbook of the program, we were presented with the economic development of the area, with the plans of the Chinese government to use Xinjiang as a gateway for China's Road and Belt project, which is a social imperialist project of China, through which China wants to rebuild the so-called the ancient Silk Road, whereby China, who faces in a way isolation from the United States, Japan, and other powers in China Sea, the ambition of China is to build a highway infrastructure in Central Asia and Muslim countries, where this road will reach India, Turkey, and the Arab world, and through which the Chinese want to export and do trade with the Asian and African countries. The attitude of the Chinese was very good with all of us as journalists in the first days. But what happened in the fourth day of our visit, or the third maybe, we were sent to Aksu, which is a city originally Uyghur. The name Aksu means white water in the local Uyghur language. And when we were sent in Aksu, the authorities sent us to visit the first vocational training schools that they have, or what we outside of China call them concentration camps. When we visited the concentration camp of Aksu, we were shocked to see the people who were held in these camps. They were young boys and girls who had been detained and sent to these concentration schools only because they chose to be Muslim, because they believed in Allah, because they believed that they were Uyghurs and they were not Chinese, because some ladies had put hijab on their head, some others refused to eat non-halal food. And for these very funny reasons, the Chinese had declared these people to be Islamist terrorists and extremists, have taken them from their families, and had closed them in this concentration camp in the middle of the desert. This shocked us very much, especially us, the journalists coming from Turkey and Europe, because we live in free and democratic societies. And for us, it is unimaginable that you can send people to concentration camps only because they are Muslim, only because they believe in God, only because they pray to God, or only because they believe that a true Muslim should pray 5 times per day. But for the Chinese authorities, these people were deemed to be very dangerous people. When I went to the Aksu concentration camp, the Chinese presented us some of these prisoners singing and dancing. The project of our Chinese friends was that we should film these imprisoned Uyghurs, how they sing and dance, and transmit to the world the fake news that they want to create. However, I did not do that. I refused to film the Uyghurs singing and dancing. I told to our Chinese friends, I want to interview these people. I want to know who they are, what are their names, why they are here, what are their living conditions, and who brought them here. By using my Samsung phone, I filmed them, and as soon as I went back to the hotel, I put my videos on YouTube. My videos went viral under my channel, which is Olsi Jazexhi, and many journalists, media analysts, intelligence services, and what have you, they saw my videos. This was the first time that the international community saw videos from inside the concentration camps that China has built for Muslim Uyghurs, Kazakhs, Kyrgyz, and other minorities who live in Xinjiang. From my interviews, I understood that the prisoners of conscience who are in the concentration camps of China, their only guilt is because they are Muslim and they are not Han Chinese. After I put my interviews on YouTube, the Chinese went crazy with us, and particularly with me. We were being followed everywhere. Even when we were going in toilets, we had 3 people after us. And before we left Xinjiang, the head of the Communist Party who was organizing our trip told us, when you go out of Xinjiang and China, we do not want you to report something bad on what you have seen here. Otherwise, he told us that will be unacceptable.
Beijing administration is launching concentration camp to the world as a training camp. Have you noticed the measures and practice for this?
Well, as I mentioned before, the reason why our Chinese friends invited us in Xinjiang was that they wanted us to present to the outside world a fake story. The fake story that they want us to present to the world is that the concentration camps that Chinese authorities have built in Xinjiang against Muslims are not concentration camps, but are vocational training schools. But they are not vocational training schools, because in a vocational or professional school, when you go with your own desire, you go to take a degree, and nobody arrests you. But the people that we saw, they were forcefully separated from their families. They were declared to be criminals. And in these schools, they were forced to renounce Islam, to eat pork, to not speak Turkish or Uyghur language, but to speak Chinese, and to repent for being Muslims and believing in God. So these are not schools like the Chinese state propaganda want the outside world to believe. These are mass concentration camps of Muslims who are forced to renounce their Islamic and Turkish identity.
Have you had any impressions of torture and cultural assimilation?
Yeah, the people that we interviewed, they were taken in these centers against their will. We did not see any torture because our Chinese friends, they didn't allow us to interview everybody. Even the interviews that I made them under a lot of stress, and by coming into and quarreling with our Chinese friends who did not want us to interview the detainees. But yes, the whole project of these concentration camps is a cultural genocide against Turkic Muslims of China. What are they doing? They are trying to forcefully assimilate the Turkish people of Xinjiang and the Muslims and turn them into Han Chinese. They are brainwashed every day with ideas of the Communist Party of China. They are brainwashed with atheism. They are told that Islam is a terrorist and evil religion which was brought to China by the Turks and the Arabs. They are forced to renounce their Turkish language, and if they dare to speak Turkish when they are in the concentration camps, they will suffer punishment. So they are forced to speak all-time Han Chinese, and they are forced to learn Chinese, and in a few words, to be transformed from Turkic people, which are Uyghurs, Kazakhs, Kyrgyz, Tatars, into Han Chinese.
In the Western media, a little bit of news about the drama of Uyghur Turks is researched, but unfortunately Muslim countries are silent to this genocide. How do you interpret?
During our trip to Xinjiang, we had with us Saudi and Emirati journalists. And unlike us, Albanians and Turks and what have you, who were doing questions and who were very concerned with what we were seeing, the Saudis and Emiratis, they didn't do any question at all. When we asked our Emirati friends, are you going to transmit what you are seeing here when you go back to your country? They told us our government do not allow us. Now, what is going on? Why the West is speaking against these concentration camps, but the Muslim countries are not speaking? It is simple. The Chinese government is buying Muslim governments from Saudi Arabia to United Arab Emirates, Pakistan, and what have you. They are giving to them loans, they are building for them roads and other infrastructure, and they are telling to them, we want your silence on what we are doing with the Uyghurs. What is happening at this moment with the Uyghur Muslims, when the imperialist West speaks on their behalf, but the Muslim Ummah does not speak, is a big shame on humanity and big shame on the Muslim Ummah. We are selling the Uyghurs for little Chinese yuans, but one day Allah is going to ask the Muslims why we sold our brothers and sisters and why we allowed this genocide that is happening against them by China.
There is an understanding of the Chinese persecution as a CIA operation. Of course, there will be provocators. It's not right to keep quiet because there are those who want to use it against China. What are you thinking about this?
Well, when I saw the persecution of Uyghur Muslims in Xinjiang, I was very shocked. And I even protested to our Chinese friends. And I told to them continuously, please close these concentration camps. Because, I told them, what you are doing against the Uyghurs, it is an anti-Chinese act. I told to them, what you are doing against the Uyghurs, the Americans are going to use against you one day. They are going to arm one day the Uyghurs and they are going to do troubles to you. It is true that foreign powers, Western powers, want to use the issue of Xinjiang to interfere in the internal affairs of China. I told to the Chinese friends, please do not do mistakes like Slobodan Milosevic did in Bosnia and in Kosovo during the Yugoslav war. Milosevic in Serbia, he wanted to Serbianize forcefully the Bosniaks and the Kosovars. But what happened? That led to the breakup of Yugoslavia. Unfortunately, today, the Chinese are repeating the same historical mistakes that Milosevic did in Yugoslavia. They are trying to turn the Uyghurs into Han Chinese. This is a crime against humanity that they are doing, but it will be exploited by Western powers to destroy China one day. I hope and pray that our Chinese friends call to their senses and stop the massive crime that they are doing against the Uyghur Muslims. Thank you very much.
Thank you for accepting our interview.